beds?
Shut
How
up.
many beds?
Okay, shut up.
Oh,
while I
yeah.
answer.
Beds.
Shut
How
up.
many beds?
Okay, shut up. while
Oh,
I answer.
yeah.
If you want to hear from me, then you will listen.
You ready? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, 'twas so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
There's quite a few people that I know that have suffered injury here, and I know of a man that went to Harmon's and without a mask, and he was in a rush to get to save his food on the freezer because he had a power outage. The freezer broke. He needed dry ice. They lured him in there and ended up being trespassed by the police, and he's being prosecuted. And we need to support people like that because I think this is an abuse of power. Harmon's and many other companies have taken money from the federal government, which makes them no longer a private corporation, meaning now they have to serve everybody and they cannot discriminate. And so how are they going to pertain us if we don't want to wear a mask or take a vaccine from participating in this society? And this is some of the problems that we see are coming our way, and they're already here. I cannot go shop in Costco anymore. They will trespass me, and they already did trespass me for a different reason. But so this is what's coming, and we hear our politicians and even the sheriff say that they're not going to enforce anything yet. They are supporting all these mandates, and they are sending notifications and papers and emails out to business owners and reducing their capacity to produce. That is acting under the color of law. Exactly, Ken. Thank you. So, like I was saying, and I'm just going to open with this, and this is just a statement. I don't have a question for John Pike right now, but you know, we are suffering injury here. This mask mandate and everything that the governor has laid out since COVID is unconstitutional. We know that. We know everything is a lie. We're not going to argue that either. We know that everybody that is supporting all these mandates are acting under the color of law. And there's harsh penalties for that. So we have grievances here today. I want to make sure John Pike understands that. And I want to make sure, I wish the city council was here. I don't know if there's anybody from the city council here. Is there anybody?
Oh, they weren't invited, so.
Okay, all right. Well,
I'm sure they would.
we missed inviting them. Yeah, no problem. We missed inviting them. And so I want to give an example. There's a lady, a Spanish lady, her name is Irma. Is she here? Irma Gonzalez? Irma Gonzalez. ¿Está acá? No? Okay, I met her today. She worked at the restaurant, what is it called? The El Pollo, not the Loco, the other one. Super Pollo, gracias. Thank you. El Super Pollo. Irma Gonzalez, I just met her today. She might be here later. And she told me she lost her job. I said, what happened? And she said they closed down the restaurant. I said, why? She said, well, the COVID has affected our business. They are, the government has affected the business. Yeah, that's true. They have restricted the amount of patrons they can serve in their business, in their dining room. And that is happening throughout. The statistic right now that I just saw was 100,000 restaurants across the nation have closed permanently. So these policies, which are unconstitutional, are hurting the people. And I just left Florida 6 months ago, and they destroyed my business because of the shutdown shelter-in-place orders that they had. I couldn't meet with anybody for 3 months. I-95, which is the main thoroughfare there, where there's 10 million people between Dade County, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County, is 10 million people, and you could see 3 cars going north and 3 cars going south. For a pandemic that has only killed 0.003% of the people with comorbidities. This is ridiculous. So anyways, that's my statement. I'm glad John Pike is here to listen, and I would invite anybody that wants to ask a question or make a statement to come up and use this microphone. Who wants to be first?
This guy over here, he's got lots of questions.
All right, here's Ken. There we go.
Well, Governor Pike, my name is Ken Wagner.
I'm just the mayor.
Mayor, yeah. Well,
He's new here.
I'm sorry, I am new here. But this applies to the mayor, the governor, the president.
Thank you, Bobby.
Back in, and it's never been overturned, back in 1866, the Supreme Court ruled in the Ex parte Milligan 71 U.S. 2 case that neither the legislature nor any legislative body or judicial officer may disregard provisions of the Constitution in case of emergency. This is Supreme Court law. So what we're seeing here is everything that's been done here is being done under color of law. And under color of law, and that is U.S. 242, that if people end up dying, like, maybe people that have committed suicide or didn't go to the hospital because they were afraid of the phony bug and ended up dying at home, those kind of people. And by the way, I believe in ages 18 to 50 at this point, the number one cause of death here in Utah is suicide, off the charts. And it's all because of this COVID hoax, all right? And that's what it is. COVID-19 has never been purified, isolated, and fails the Koch's postulate 4-step process for identifying a new virus. The CDC has no isolates for COVID-19, as they admit in their own statement on FDA.gov. So I want to just ask Mayor Pike if he's aware that he is probably in violation of all of these U.S. federal codes. Wish I could see your face, sir.
Yeah, you won't be. I'll be wearing my mask, but
Yeah. A lot of criminals do.
yeah. So,
Thank you.
I don't believe that that's the case, but
Are you talking about
that's
the
my
law?
answer.
The
I don't-
laws? Are you talking about the laws, sir?
No, I'm answering your question. I don't believe that's the case.
Well, no, I asked you about the laws. If
You
you're...
know, you asked me if I knew that I was in violation of the laws, and I would say, no, I don't believe I am.
Okay, you don't think you are? Because I've got the laws right here for you, sir.
Turn it on when
And I'll
you're
make
ready.
sure that you have them on your desk tomorrow.
You're welcome to provide that.
And you are in violation, sir, and you know what that could mean, all
Okay.
right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor Pike, I thank you for taking the time to come out here and address your constituents. Now, I will tell you right off the bat that I'm not your constituent. I live in Hurricane. But as St. George goes, so does Hurricane. Okay, and I'm gravely concerned because I just moved here from California a year and a half ago. And I thought that Utah would be the last place that I would be having to deal with a mayor that violates his oath of office on a daily basis. You, sir, I am a United States Air Force veteran. I took the same oath that you did. I took the oath to defend the Constitution against both foreign and domestic enemies. And right now, you, sir, are becoming a domestic enemy, and so is Governor Herbert. Okay? And let me tell you that during the Revolutionary War, they were dealing with smallpox that was way deadlier than COVID. Okay? And they didn't call up the British and say, excuse us, let's take a break. Time out, let's go home. People were dying. People were giving their lives for our freedom, and you, sir, are violating your oath of office every day because you are not defending. And I would like you to answer one question, and I will be done. Where in the United States Constitution and where in the Declaration of Independence does it say it is your job to mandate what I wear? You have no more authority to mandate that I wear a mask to go shopping than you have the authority to mandate that I wear underwear. Okay? Sir, you need to understand that you are not the authority here. We are. Your superiors. You're supposed to be doing what we tell you to do, not what you think you ought to do. We are the sovereigns. Okay? And you people do not understand that. You have forgotten that. And it is my job, because I want to ask you, I don't know how long you've been in office, because like I said, I just moved here. But what was done when 100 million people were dying of TB? What about H1N1? Nobody was doing anything. Okay? And you're totally out of line. And you need to recheck, and maybe you need to go review your oath of office. And if you cannot uphold your oath of office, I would kindly request that you resign your office. Thank you.
I think your question was about mandate, I believe. And so, is that? Okay, so the city hasn't issued any mandates. So. You haven't backed down either. We're a subdivision of the state, so we are obligated, yes we are, we're a subdivision of the state. Adam? So our city manager, by the way, I should have introduced, Adam Lenhard is here with me, just to make sure I don't say anything incorrectly. But we are a political subdivision of the state, so we're obligated to follow state law.
Many mayors.
When there's no, I'm responding to a question.
Turn it
So
on when you're
there's a
ready.
state mandate that's issued by the governor or the state public health department, then that is, for us, that's a directive that we would need to follow.
Sure.
Okay, let me tell you that the health department is not an elected body. Okay? They have no authority. According to the Constitution, they do not have any authority. Okay, they can tell us to take precautions. They can tell us to wash our hands and not go step out in front of a semi, but it's not their business. And a mandate, the governor, there are 3 branches. Actually, there's 4 branches of the government. It's the executive, the judicial, the legislative, and we the people.
The assembly of the people.
And you need to understand that he has no authority to make a mandate. He has no authority to make a law. But yet you want to back down and say that we have to follow what the governor says. Oh no, you do not.
Where's your spine?
Hey, that's your opinion, so.
No, it is not my opinion.
It
It's
is.
the Constitution.
Thank you, that's your opinion. That's your opinion, thank you. Next question, if you'd like.
Yes. Hi, Mayor.
Hi,
Thank you for being here,
you're welcome.
and thank you for taking time to listen to our grievances. And thank you for your service. We would really appreciate you answering a couple of questions. My questions, I wonder, number one, why is it? It's mandate by Governor Herbert. It's a mandate, but it's not been passed through legislation. So why is a mandate now? People all around and government officials are enforcing it as if it was a law. Why is that the case?
I don't know that I can answer, fully, but what I would say is this: that certainly the state legislature and the leadership of that state legislature has been involved in these decisions, and they have pushed back in some cases, to be honest, and they have probably pushed, just like the public at large, in both directions. Certainly, if the legislature wanted to call themselves into session, they could, if they had the votes to do that. They could also change or override the governor's directives if they so chose to do that. They have not. So for me, that's where I believe that it at least carries the weight of law for us to respond to in terms of as a political subdivision of the state. We have not been. Okay, you can have your opinion if you want.
You hold a
I won't
public
argue.
office. Do you hold a public office?
We're elected by us.
Do you want me to respond?
Do you hold a public office?
I would
I'm
like to
still responding
hear.
to her.
I'd like to hear his answer. So
Yeah.
hold your thoughts,
Yeah.
and if you want, come up to the mic, please. Thanks.
So, thank you. So really what it amounts to is, while we have not been tasked to enforce the mask mandate, for example, the Labor Commission has, as it relates to businesses. And so, for example, when we get those questions at our police department, we don't send our police out, do we, Adam? We haven't been even asked to do that. We would refer those calls or online emails, whatever it might be, to the State of Utah Labor Commission, and then they would decide what they do about it. So that's again, because it's a state directive, it's up to the state to determine what they're doing.
Okay. Question. And I'm, of course, like many, not happy with that response because it's still not really helping us to move forward in a productive way as a community, united, because I think we all want the same things. I think we want health, and we want our businesses and our livelihoods. So then there's my question is, why did the police department and why did you take a knee to Black Lives Matter when Black Lives Matter is a radical group that is, and I'm sure you probably understand that, I'm guessing, but I could be wrong in that. But why did you take a knee to that here in St. George?
Well, the knee I took was when the group said a prayer, when they knelt in the street to say a prayer. Adam, were you there for that part? I think you were. So that was the knee I took. Well, that's not what she asked about, but as the mayor, I'm focused on our community. The people that were here, as I think most of you know, certainly almost all, I can't speak to every person, they were our community members. They weren't bussed in from other locations, as we heard might happen. That didn't happen here. It happened other places, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, it did.
It did not happen here. It did not. Absolutely did not.
did.
It did not.
It did. They came from Las Vegas.
They did not come from Las
They
Vegas.
didn't unload the buses.
There were no buses.
Yes, there were.
There were not thousands of people. No, there weren't. But thank you for trying. What there were there were some athletic events that some people were here for. But it is true.
Oh, wow.
So anyway. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Then, you bet. Next question.
So I moved back to Minersville, Utah. I live in Beaver County from Las Vegas. I lived in Vegas for 20 years, so I'm dealing with Sissy Sack.
Put the mic up so we can hear you better.
Okay. And their little labor department came through Beaver County. And the mayor got a lot of phone calls, and so did our sheriff, and he kicked them out of our county and told them if they ever come back, he'd arrest them.
Yeah!
Because he's a constitutional sheriff. Thank goodness for Cameron Knoll.
Yeah!
Okay? And that can happen here too. They have no rights. They have no business being here. And to tell me that they were not bussed in here, I know for a fact they came in here. Yes, I know for a fact. I'm sorry. But I know some of the members that came in here through some of my friends. So yes, I do know they came here. Okay, and there's videos of it. They turned around when they saw UCA. That's why they turned around.
What's UCA?
Utah Citizens Alone. They are citizens who are protecting their communities. They are good citizens and they are patriots. So, and that city down, he will shut down a lot more businesses and destroy a lot more lives.
Let's be respectful and get questions.
So, the thing is that why are you allowing all of this? Because if my sheriff can shut it down and my mayor, and I know for a fact because I talk to Paul Cousins all the time, I talk to Mark Whitney all the time. He's a personal friend. I've known him for many years. Okay? They're not complying. They are standing up to these unconstitutional mandates. When's the last time you read the Constitution and understood it?
Okay, so what would you like me to respond to?
I want to know when's the last time you read the Constitution and understand it.
I look at it. I have it on my desk. I look at it frequently, read sections of it frequently.
No, you need to read the whole thing over and over and over again. And maybe you need to speak to a constitutional attorney. Number two, why are you not standing up and taking care of your citizens that elected you as opposed to taking care of an unconstitutional governor?
All right, I'll answer that. I believe that I am.
No.
I believe that I am, and I realize that there are people that don't believe that I am, but I believe the majority of our citizens believe that we are doing exactly what we should do for the best good of our community. That's right, we will. And that's what elections are for. You're right. If that's what happens, that's the will of the people. Yep. Well, listen a little closer. I'll speak a little closer to the mic.
Why do you have it on outside?
Because it's the recommendation. Yep.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I don't live in this county, but I live in the county right next door. And I do a lot of business and travel throughout St. George. And I served a mission for my church out here many, many years ago. So with that in mind, I have one short statement and two short questions, okay? And with all due respect, and I respect your office and I respect you coming out here. It takes a lot of guts to address this many people that really don't want to hear any platitudes or lies, okay? It takes a lot of respect, and I give you that. All right, so the first statement is that any mandate or any recommendation is not a law. It has to be passed through the state legislature and voted on and proved by legal terms constitutional.
Yeah!
And if it's not, then it cannot legally be enforced by anybody for any reason. And it is the responsibility of the city's elected officials, including the sheriff's department, to step in and stop those and turn them away. They have the right to do that, and they have the legal responsibility to do that. So here's my two questions. First of all, you say you took an oath to the Constitution. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. If you have taken an oath to the Constitution, then why aren't you supporting it and sustaining it to the people here? I mean, you have 100+ constituents here that want to know why you haven't stood behind it. Mandates, recommendations are not constitutional law, and they have not passed the state legislature by a judicial body through the legal department and went through the legal process to be certified by the Supreme Court as law.
I believe
That's my questions.
Thank you. I believe I've addressed that. I believe I am fulfilling my duty to the Constitution, and I believe that whatever mandates have been given to the governor have been done so according to his prerogative in his under the law.
The governor rules the people?
Nope, but I do think he's been elected to represent the people. So I believe he at least. He believes he is a majority of the people, yes.
Is there any mandate that you would not back?
I'm not going to address something that is that broad.
Yeah, how far would you go with this? Like at what point would you
Get on the
stop?
mic.
What point would you
What
grow?
point
I'm
would
not
you
going to
stop?
address something that's so hypothetical.
Let's get on the mics, please.
It is
Go ahead,
hypothetical.
Cindy.
But they are talking about a mandatory vaccine.
No one's talking to me about a mandate for vaccine. Nobody.
Go ahead, Cindy. Go
I
ahead.
know that. They've been talking.
Turn it on.
Okay, go ahead.
The governor signed a document called the Memorandum of Understanding. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not sure which memorandum of understanding you're talking about.
The one about COVID from the federal government that says that he must mandate or he doesn't get all this millions of dollars from the government that he got.
Exactly.
I'm not familiar with that, but since he hasn't mandated masks until recently, I'm not sure that it reads the way you just mentioned it.
It was to get the money when we got our $1,200 checks.
Right, and see, there was no mask mandate until just recently.
Yes, but it is, he has to do what the federal government is telling him because he signed that. Have you signed any sort of agreement? What? Have you signed any?
I'm not aware of anything that we've signed like that. We have accepted COVID funds through the state that have come from the federal government, and so I don't know honestly if we've signed anything. I don't recall a memorandum like that, but we certainly have complied with, I guess you'd say, the requirements to get those funds and use them accordingly. According to the regulations that have been laid out.
So you're saying that you are following the way to get this money. Yes. I don't know what you're calling it.
Yes.
So do you have a copy of that?
I don't know the memorandum you're talking about.
Well, I don't know if that's what they're calling that. That's what I've heard it's being called.
Yeah.
I cannot find a copy of it.
If you can get us the name of the specific document, I'll sure find out.
Have you signed personally, as the mayor, anything to get money that controls the people?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that because I'm not sure.
Does someone else know the names of these things? Because I don't.
Yeah.
You know the names?
I don't know what she's referring to. If you can cite the document, we'll look at it and see. But I'm not aware of us signing anything like that.
What we are interested in, are you willing to expose to us any documents, any agreements that you've made with entities, local, domestic, foreign, Chinese government, anybody that you've received funds from regarding COVID? Are you willing to release those documents to us?
Any document that we've signed is subject to the Government Records Management Act, and we would comply with that act. Is that fair to say?
So there are documents you won't release?
We would release anything that we're required to release, and I believe that would include what you're after.
Are there anything that you're not required to release?
Again, you're getting into hypotheticals. If there, for example, negotiations for purchase of property or sale of property, those kinds of things, if they're still in draft, if they've not been executed, those kinds of things, for example, might not be released. Confidential records as it relates to employees might not be released. Is that fair to say, Adam? So I want to answer your question completely, but I think for what you're looking for, they would be obtainable by the public.
Okay,
Will you just release those? Do we need to do it for you?
You would need to do a request, and you contact the city recorder's office to do that.
We need everybody to come to the mic, so go ahead.
Hi.
I'm a local business owner.
Close to you.
And I've remained in business throughout all of this that's been going on.
Glad you could.
Yeah, me too. I received an email, so I'll give you the information and I'll ask questions as best I can. The email I received was from the city about my business license. It was from the same department that sends my business license information, and it was the COVID proclamation that I was required to put on my door of my business. And everyone in the city has the same, sign on their door, so I know everyone received one. It wasn't given with a threat, but it was like an expectation, put this on your door, and everyone in town has it. All of the businesses are very, they're heeding to the, request that we've been given. Now, my question is this. Once a citizen, a private citizen, is in the doors of my private facility, my private property, at that point, do I have the right to allow or enforce that they wear a mask?
Again, I think you'd have to talk to the state about how seriously they're going to be about enforcing it.
I don't have anyone in the city or in this. I don't have anyone in the state to contact, which is why it took a lot of courage for me to come up and ask you this. But I'm just wondering if you know personally, is there a program, is there a protocol that you all have put together where if you catch wind or whoever tells you or reports that people aren't wearing masks or that business owner isn't enforcing this, what happens? Because I think a lot of business owners are afraid. Sure. We're all really scared not to do it.
As I mentioned before, we would direct those kinds of calls or correspondence of the public or anyone reporting those kinds of things, potential violations, if you will, of the mandate. We would report those, or we would send those people to the Labor Commission.
Okay, so that's what the protocol is.
That is the protocol.
If you get a phone call from a private citizen that says, "Hey, I was in there and they weren't wearing masks in there," then they get a call. They get directed to where?
Yeah, to the state Utah Labor Commission.
The state.
Utah State Labor Commission.
And that's located in Salt Lake?
It's in Salt Lake. There is a website, and I believe there's now a phone number that gets them directly to that department.
And then I'll ask. And so at that point, do you know what happens after that?
It's up to them.
You guys just don't know?
It's not a city matter, so we don't know. But what I've been told is that then they, like they would do in any situation, they would decide whether to investigate and then what to do about it.
Have you heard of it?
It's not a city matter in this case because it's a public health issue.
Has anyone in town, are there any business owners here tonight?
Yeah, there's a lot of business.
So have you guys faced this at all?
Yeah.
You've had someone coming to your facility?
Just listened to Tony Roman in Orange County, California, on the radio last night.
Local.
Let's talk state.
That's with Governor Newsom, and let me tell you right now, he is banning masks in his store. Newsom took him to court, lost. They're not touching him. He's continuing his restaurant, no masks, no employees in masks. They don't dare mess with him.
So locally, the city and the police department are doing nothing and have no authority to do anything against business owners who decide not to follow the mandate by enforcing that their, patrons wear a mask.
That's correct.
That's actually really good to know, people, because we don't have to do it. I understand your position, and you guys are doing what you're told to do. We don't have to do it, people. So.
Well, you can talk with.
No one locally is going to do anything.
You might be dealing with the State Department of Labor,
the
but
State Department from Salt Lake City.
We'll be dealing with the
you or your.
I might just mention too, since there's been some references to other states, I realize that that there are plenty of businesses and individuals that are hurting within our state, but I think you'd have to admit that the approach of the state of Utah has been much more moderate than many other states.
Can I ask you one more question?
Thank you.
I'm hesitant to ask you this because I know your position.
Okay.
Okay. Hold it up. Thanks. You as a citizen, you know, because I know you have two hats to wear, because you've got a political hat and a private citizen hat. Okay. But do you, and I know a lot of us see him as the enemy, okay, but he is still a citizen of our city, okay, people. But do you, as a citizen, encourage us as citizens to stand up for the Constitution on this subject? Because it's a, Mayor Pike, it's a risk for us as business owners. We're afraid.
Yeah.
But in our hearts, you can feel our passion, and you know that we are trying to do what feels right for us as free Americans. We're not afraid, like a lot of people are really afraid of what's going on.
Here's what I would suggest. I see someone with a Because Jesus sweatshirt on. Here's what I would suggest. We are all members of a community. Not all of us are members of the St. George community, but we are all members of a community somewhere. Our community right now has a hospital that is over 100% of capacity.
Not true. Not true. We've been in there. It's not true. We've been in there.
Would you listen? Would you like? Listen. I respect your opinions. I respect.
I'm a doctor, and I know that's a lie.
Okay.
A whole-faced lie.
Okay. You want to? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I will respect your right to your opinion. But I will.
That came from a doctor himself. That came from a doctor.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. What matters is from the hospital. Tell me your name, doctor. Do you mind telling me your name?
Robert Gibson.
Robert Gibson. What kind of doctor are you?
Why does it matter? Urologist.
Urologist. Okay.
I have
Do you have active privileges at Dixie Regional?
I don't work at Dixie Regional.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then how did you know?
I know everybody there.
Okay. Well, I've
I'm
talked
personal
to.
friends.
Okay. Now, if you'll give me the time, I will respond. Let me just tell you this: if you shout me out, then I will consider this your event and I will leave. If you want to hear from me, then you will listen. Okay? Otherwise, I will leave.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, then if you'd like me to leave, I will leave.
Mayor Pike,
All right.
may I have the floor?
No, you may not. No, I'm still responding.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the thing. We have a community hospital. I've talked to the administrator and the medical director of the ICU today, and I know what their census is. They are at or approaching 100% or above.
6 beds.
Shut
How
up.
many beds?
Okay, shut up while
Oh,
I answer.
yeah.
Yeah. If you want to hear it, if you want to hear the real answer, then listen. Okay? Or I'll leave. Or I'll leave. It's fine. If you don't want to hear from me, I will leave. If you want to hear the answers, then be quiet. Okay? Yep.
Hold it down a little bit, please.
Okay.
Let the mayor talk, please.
Okay.
I have something that's very important to share with you also, but let's wait until he gets done, okay?
Okay, so the hospital has 284 licensed beds. Friday, they have 284 licensed inpatient beds. That is how many they have. That is a fact, okay? No, they have 284 licensed beds, okay? Last Friday, they exceeded that number of inpatients in their hospital. I didn't say that they had COVID. If you'll let me, I'll tell you the percentage. Okay, here are the numbers. In the last week, the COVID patients have varied between 50 and 65 from day to day during that time. Okay, they account for 18 to 23% of the capacity of the hospital in terms of the number of beds. But these patients require significantly more care and time for that care. So that's why it really adds to the stress and the hours, if you will, that it takes and the number of caregivers that it takes to take care of these patients. If you do your math, you'll know that there are many more patients that don't have COVID that are in the hospital. Many more. But what they had to do in the last few days was begin again to cancel some what they call elective surgeries because they needed to make sure there was a bed for everyone that needed it. So they have been at capacity and in excess of that. They have contingency plans, and they're in that phase right now so that they can have extra caregivers, which they've brought in, additional what they call travelers nurses, and also, if they need to, additional space. They have set up on the east side of the hospital a tent. You may have seen, you may not have, they used to have 2 set up. They're kind of like a MASH tent. They don't want to go to that if they don't, until they have to. They also have about, I'm going to say about probably 30 to 35 what they call observation beds that can be used in emergency situations when they are over capacity for their regular inpatient beds. So they have begun to use those observation beds. That's what happens when they get over 284. Again, the issue isn't entirely COVID. No one is saying that it is. COVID simply is adding to it in a remarkable way because of the intensive nature of those people when they do end up in the hospital. Acknowledging most do not end up in the hospital. We know that. But when they do end up there, it can be pretty traumatic, and it can be very time consuming. If you will go, in fact, any of you that are on Facebook, go to Dixie Regional Medical Center's page. They released earlier today a video that is basically a tour for anyone to just go on, a virtual tour of the hospital, to hear from a few caregivers, to hear from briefly the hospital administrator, to hear from the medical director of the ICU, and a respiratory therapist and a nurse. Hear it from them, and at least it will give you another viewpoint of what they're dealing with. So the reason I'm getting into this is my answer is, as we focus on the needs of our community, that's where my attention goes, is what can we do in our community to minimize the risk to those who might get COVID, especially those who are at highest risk, and to our caregivers who end up caring for them and all of us with other illnesses or surgeries that are done. And the best we can do, in my opinion right now, at this high census time and in the cold and flu season, is to help them by taking all the precautions we can, by doing the best we can. Whether you believe in mandates or not, I think you do the very best you can to take the precautions that will help our community.
Mayor, please. Go ahead, Welton.
Hi,
That's
Mayor.
it.
Mayor Pike.
Yes, sir.
Are you an LDS guy?
I am.
You heard the story about the war in heaven? Can you tell me what it was fought over?
I think this isn't the place for a religious discussion.
It's not religion, it's the whole nation.
It
War is war. The war in heaven prevails today, right here,
Okay.
in this parking lot.
Okay.
Do you believe in joy?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's
Absolutely
not
do.
a religious affair. A lot of you guys aren't Mormons.
Yeah.
They're not all Mormons, but they believe that we should not. Do you believe that the war was fought over what? Agency!
Agency.
Freedom!
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Right.
Now
And remember,
you believe that in your
do.
teaching.
I believe that with all my heart. I also believe, though, that our decisions have consequences.
Oh, my
In terms of our, and they do, right? In terms of our community right now, our decisions have consequences. Exactly. And we are, aren't we?
Ladies and gentlemen, I have something to share with you. Very important. Mayor Pike told you a very truth. This county is a subpart of the state in a corporate world.
That is
And
right.
until you understand that, you'll never have freedom again.
That's right.
Until you reseat the republic with the liberty and freedoms and the rights. They cannot give you rights. They're
That's
under
right.
the dictate of the high level and the rich man of the world.
That's right.
And if you continue to, if you don't claim your rights and get involved in restoring the republic, you'll never have freedom.
That's right. Thank you.
I'm a president.
Close to your mouth, please.
I'm a president of a softball league. So it's not a crisis to us, even though most of the softball players think it is. But I've had to listen to those who were afraid of the virus, as well as those who thought the virus was a hoax. So, to be brief, I'll just give my observations. We had one player get seriously ill and having a tough time recovering because he went to a family reunion in Florida and got the COVID.
There is no COVID.
And we had another die this past Sunday. Not because he was playing softball, but because he had picked it up somewhere else. So it is a serious matter, and so that is. So because I've been a president, I recognize the position that the mayor is in. He is looking out under the constitutional phrase, general welfare.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
The general welfare is the freedom of all, is our free agency. All right, make your question.
Okay.
Do you have a question for the mayor?
So, no question. I think the mayor is acting, trying to get us through this crisis, and one of the things that he pointed out is the hospitals getting filled up.
Ask
with
a question,
people.
please. We have a lot of people waiting for
Thank
questions.
you for your time. Next person.
Thank you.
I have a very serious question for you.
Okay.
And I've been in the hospital at the University Hospital during this. So I understand a lot. I understand what it's like to go in. I basically quit breathing. I don't have COVID, I just sound like I do. I've had 55 surgeries on my airway. My husband couldn't be there as an advocate. He doesn't have COVID. He's not going to give anybody COVID. We have people in the hospital dying without anybody in there. So, for those of you who are saying, I understand probably more about this virus than most. There is a virus, it is real, but it's mutated many times. And that's what's serious. There's a type of influenza. I have a daughter right now who is fighting. Now, we know that hydrochloroquine therapy has been amazing. There are doctors all over this country proving it. Utah was given $800,000 for that drug. And it was to be available for anyone who needed it. Are you aware? None of our doctors here can order it. And when they use it at the beginning, they are better. In 2 to 3 days, 4 at the most. Are you aware of that?
I've heard that.
But we can't get it. And the doctors are not allowed to. I was on the phone last week calling everybody I knew who knew a doctor so we could get it. Her doctor could not give it to her. I know a lot about the immune system and how to fight. So we're doing it. We're doing it naturally. But my daughter has been through hell and back again and in the hospital all year. She doesn't have an immune system. Why in the name of holy whatever can we not get something? You're asking what can we do to make a difference? For heaven's sakes, it's a simple thing. And it's been proven and it's cheap. They want statistics, people. We need to really think about what we're doing and why. Because we could make a difference. That alone could.
Hi, I just wanted to add to what she's saying. I and my entire family contracted COVID, and my doctor is one of the only ones brave enough to still prescribe hydroxychloroquine, and he is afraid that he will be shut down. My family took it the morning after my husband took hydroxychloroquine. He was immediately better and completely symptom-free, and the only thing we had to deal with after taking it was a loss of taste and smell for a little while. My doctor says aggressive early treatment, and this virus is nothing. Aggressive early treatment, but you guys tell us to stay home and go to the hospital. It's too late by then. They're half dead by then. So are you, as mayor of this town, raising awareness of therapeutics?
No, because I don't believe that's my role, but I am listening and meeting with the doctors.
What is your role then? You said that you are advocating for the
doctor.
health of the community, and you're not advocating for the health of the community in a way that would actually benefit us. You're benefiting yourself, sir.
Okay, thank you. In your opinion, but in my opinion, we're discussing all the issues on.
I find it interesting that you say truth is an opinion. I find that very telling.
Well, it's true in some situations, isn't it? So, yes, in some situations. The doctors are aware, and that's their job, is to deal with that.
Afraid of being shut down because he's using it.
Shut down by whom?
The state.
I can give you this information if you'd like, but it doesn't seem like you
Oh, really?
care.
I haven't seen, in fact, I don't believe they have that authority. That would fall under the Department of Occupational and Professional Licensing at the state.
Well, that's it. I'm sorry, I'm not totally
Okay. So yeah, I don't know of anyone that's in that situation, but again, if your doctor would like to talk to me.
I encourage you to
Yeah.
find that out so you can benefit the people you represent, please.
I'm asking you to let me know, have your doctor.
I can let you know?
Yeah,
I would love
no,
to.
I need, will you let me finish? Because, well, that was a few minutes ago. Yeah. So if you would like to provide to me the name of the doctor, I'll be happy to talk with the doctor.
Thank you.
And then I'll
That
talk
is
with
a
the others.
solution that I would like to work with you on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let me know.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to give you any personal stories about sickness, about this, or any other of the
Sorry, I
things
can't-
you've been
I can't hear
I
you.
said I'm not going to give you any excuses or personal experiences with COVID or anything like that. I have a couple of questions. I'd like to have a direct response if you can provide it. Number one, all these people that are here are scared. Some of them are business people that they do not want to go against the directive to wear a mask, and they do not want to go in the directive of overcrowding their businesses, because if they do, then the health department or the labor department that you talked about will come in and say, we're going to take your business license. That would put them out of business, which is what's happening, because you're strangling them one day at a time. So what I'm saying is, how can we as a community stand up and say, this we do not believe? Just like the people have talked about the COVID, it's not this, it's not that. We've come to the point where we don't think that's the problem. We think the problem is from the top down, and you're associated with this. You're controlled by the powers that be above you, not just the people that put you in the office. The people that also have power over you are saying, we need to keep this under control because the cases, etc. And we all know the cases are overwhelmingly reported because they're getting money for declaring people have dying of COVID. We all know the stories. We've heard it. We all have been associated with it. But the big fear is the masks. And they're keeping people. You can't walk down the street. You see people driving down the freeway with one person in a car wearing a mask. That person's scared to death because of the thing. I'm asking you what we can do to avoid a calamity of letting the people get more and more frustrated over what's going on and being told story after story of what we call basically, the word that you get from the up above. So we don't want to actually follow that directive anymore. And, times are getting very, very touchy. And so I think as mayor, you should tell us what road we need to take outside of wearing a mask to bed at night to solve the problem we're under.
I can tell you several, but you won't like any of them.
The wearing the mask, I mean, that's been worn out.
I'll tell you several. I will tell you that washing your hands frequently. I will tell you that avoiding...
I'm not talking about the COVID thing. That's beyond it. I'm talking about the suppression of our rights.
Well, let me ask you, do you feel like when you're told to put on shoes and a shirt to go into a business, that's suppressing your rights?
No, what does that have to do with COVID?
Well, I think it has a lot to do
with... The shirt
and
the shoes?
I think it has a lot to do with the parallel to it, which is you're being asked to wear a mask.
No.
The business decides that, not you.
No,
in some cases, yes.
Just give me the company line. Yes. Thank you.
One study, maybe it just depends on the situation, right? But again, you can't just pick and choose one little thing. You really can't just pick and choose one thing, because what ends up happening with those people when they take the mask off? Okay, never mind.
Let's come to the mic.
And that's great, and I'm really glad. I'm really glad for you and for everyone else.
First of all, thank you again for being here. I just moved here from out of state. I was forced to move here. I just got to St. George, but I wanted to share. I'm the daughter of a commissioner back in Eastern Idaho and a health board member. So I understand what you're going. While I don't agree with you, I know both sides of it, and I can appreciate that, and I know how hard this is. I have to read the hate. My father gets death threats. Again, I don't agree with them, but I appreciate you coming here, because from a family member, I know how hard that is. That being said, I was forced to move here because I work in the travel industry, and I've had to take on 2 jobs because of everything that's happened with COVID. And in addition to that, in April, I had my grandmother pass away because she went into a panic attack in a nursing home because she couldn't have her family see her. And so my question is for you. I get that the hospital's full. I get that people are dying, a small percentage, but what about us? What about the rest of us who are suffering? Those of us who've had to move away from our families, those of us who have had to lose loved ones because of what's happening with the economy. Are you keeping track of people who are becoming homeless? Are you keeping track of the jobless? Are you keeping track of small businesses that are going out of business? What is being done? And at what point will those who are getting COVID, I guess what I'm trying to say is, why are they more important, or why are the jobs at the hospital more important than our jobs? And at what point does that stop?
Well, I believe that the city and surrounding cities and the county are really doing a lot, and have done a lot since really the beginning of this, to try to help where we could, in terms of fronting some funds to the tune of it was almost $1 million, public and private funds that were pledged to helping small businesses with little amounts, $20,000 or less, to just help them and get them to when they would get funding and support from the federal government. So we've started with that. We've really worked hard as an organization at this time of year, and really several times during the last 9 months, to see where we could support either places like Switch Point or some of the other nonprofits that are supporting people in their most dire needs. Right now, we've got a couple of fundraising kind of projects for the Christmas season that we're trying to help with, whether it's helping to build beds for people that need them, or providing toys and providing any resources we can to help people that are in the greatest need. And I'm truly impressed by the number of organizations, especially in the last few months, that have done that. Whether it's Basket Brigade for Thanksgiving, the Habibians for doing their traditional in a new way, Thanksgiving meal
He's boring us,
for people.
isn't he?
There are all kinds of things that are being done by people in
I
our
understand these things are being done.
Yep.
And it got us through somewhat through the first of it, but at what point are you going to let us do for ourselves again?
Well, again, I think in Utah we're able to do it so much more than most places. And the only thing I can judge that by is unemployment numbers and sales tax revenues. And
That's because you've got people like me doing 2 jobs at their company.
I understand, and I really do. I appreciate the efforts that you and so many people are going to try to make ends meet. I understand that, but I'm grateful that you're willing to do it, and we have so many people that are, and I'm glad that we have jobs that are available. Some places don't. You know, we have about 6% unemployment, maybe a little bit higher than that in Washington County, and I'm grateful that it's not worse. I wish it were better, and I hope we'll be able to get it as quickly as we can as we get through this cold and flu season. This is really kind of the crux, the critical time. We thought, and again,
we heard that
conventional
in March,
wisdom.
unfortunately.
Yep,
Yeah, we heard that in March.
We did. We thought that in March, and so we'll never know, right? We'll never know what closing school meant. We'll never know if it was good or bad. We'll never know if some of the restrictions that have been made since March worked or not. What we know is now we have a lot of people that it's kind of hit that exponential phase because more people have it and therefore more people are getting it. It's just the law of large numbers. So we're going to have more people get it. Let's hope we can do the very best we can to minimize it. And again, some of you won't wish to take a vaccine, but soon a vaccine will be available. Let's hope that helps us. And hopefully in the next few months, we're going to see a huge difference, and I believe we will.
I just want to say, as a business, it's businesses, we have to stick together. It's people like, respectfully, our mayor, they're not going to enforce it, so we need to stick together and start banding together, and we decide what we allow in our business and don't allow in our business. None of them, they're not going to enforce it, and they're not going to stand up for us, and he's shown us that tonight.
For housekeeping sake here, it's after 5 already. I would ask everybody to be brief, and I would ask the mayor as well to be brief in his answers. Some of these answers sound like political speech to me. I want to make a comment, and then we'll have Susanna ask her question. These people that are in the hospital, 53 or 56 people that are classified as COVID patients, I'm sure they have other comorbidities with them, serious illnesses. So we're not going to be sold a bill of goods here, just so you know, John.
So I have a brief question and then a comment. So I think you've implied it throughout today, but I want to hear you say it flat out. Are you saying all these businesses that have lost their business they've worked years for, and everyone who's lost their livelihood, who's lost their life to suicide, are they collateral damage?
I don't think I said that. Did I say anything?
No, I said you imply it.
I don't think I implied that either.
Well, you're saying that you're...
tragic. I think it's tragic.
But they're not as important.
As what?
As COVID. As the COVID patient? As a minute number of COVID deaths. It's 0.08% of the country.
What matters are people. Absolutely. People's lives, people's livelihoods. That's what matters.
Okay, and so my second part to that is there's a very easy solution. It's called the free market. The beauty of it is we can self-segregate. Maskers go to their masky business that they want to. We go to non-mask businesses. It's a beautiful thing. You don't have to do anything at all. We can take care of it ourselves.
That's exactly what was tried. And so you're right. That's what was tried until the governor issued the mask mandate in Utah.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
You bet.
As you can see, that we the people, we instituted government to protect and service. That's it. I mean, that's where we're coming from. We put you in office, and we gave you the power when you took an oath. It gave you the power to regulate our city government as mayor, and that's an oath of trust that we have. We the people with you, and our businesses are being hurt. We see that COVID has been weaponized, okay? COVID has been weaponized against the people, And we think that you believe the propaganda coming down from the governor or the CDC, but we've done the research. We have done the research, and we know the truth about it. It's been weaponized. This isn't about a virus. This is a direct assault on our freedoms. Where do you stand on that?
What's your question?
Are you willing to stand up for the freedom of religion, the freedom to assemble? Are you going to stand up? At what point will you say, enough is enough from the higher ups? We're not doing it. I'm here to protect my constituents from enemies, foreign and domestic.
I would say that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Well, okay, I acknowledge, okay, you believe that that's what you're doing.
You said protect and serve. I believe that's exactly what we're trying to do.
So, hang on, I'm going to take this down a little conversation, because it sounds to me like you're serving, you've taken money from higher ups, the governor. This is top-down government. This is not how our country was constructed. Our country was constructed from the bottom up. We, the people, tell you what to do. You serve the people, period. You don't serve the governor. You don't, I mean, you are not, we are your boss. And you're taking orders from somebody up there that we can't even talk to. We come to you directly because this is local government. And this isn't going away, sir. Neither is the virus. We know what's been declared on us. This is a war. It's only going to get worse. It's been declared war against our freedoms. And we will stand up and protect our freedoms. We see this as, what side are you on? Yeah, where are you coming? If you're taking orders from up there, you're on the enemy's side, because this is not how government works. Are you willing to stand up and protect us?
What I'm willing to do is to serve and protect all the people as best I can.
Gotcha.
As that is my goal.
Sir,
if you need some help, let us know. We'll find a way to help.
We do need help.
We don't want your help. We want you out of the market. Out of the market.
We need law and order, according to the Constitution of the United States. And you just said that you don't take orders, that you're a subdivision of some bigger government. And if this is the truth, then we believe you violated the Constitution of the United States, and we will hold you to court. We will take you to court for that. We, the people, will take you to court.
That's okay. Do what you need to do. I understand.
So you're going to stand by what you said, that you took an oath to some higher entity above?
As I said before, I believe I'm living up to my oath.
You do? Okay.
I do.
Thank you.
Well, this is the last time that I'll speak, but first of all, you addressed my sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And Jesus...
I appreciate it.
Okay, well, let me tell you, Jesus believed in law and following the law, but they had a different type of government back then, okay? We, the people, rule, okay? Now, yes, we are supposed to honor Jesus and take care of each other. It's not the government's job to take care of us. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to say, sir, is that I have a daughter that is suicidal. She's adopted. She's in and out of the ER, and every time I go, it is absolutely empty. Okay? We get in, we get out. Okay? And the last thing I will say, sir, is that you keep saying you believe, you believe, you believe. Well, what if I stood up here and said, I believe that I'm the tooth fairy? Does that make it so? No, there's no opinions here. Everybody has opinions. And opinions are like armpits. Some stink and some stink less. There is no opinion. It's the United States Constitution, and you took that oath, and you are violating it, sir. You need to go back and read it. I fought for my country. I stood up in the gap to give you the freedom, and you are not representing Governor Herbert. You are representing your constituents and nobody else.
Agreed, and thank you for your service.
Well, it was an honor, but let me tell you, you can continue to say you believe, you believe, you believe, but like I said, I'm going to go home because I believe I'm the tooth fairy. Anybody got a loose tooth?
I first just want to echo and say amen to everything that has been said so far. The bottom line is this does come down to freedom. Mandates are not laws. But I want to bring in a different side of this because I have had the opportunity to work with kids for many, many years in the community. And I see the mental health issues that are being aggravated by this. We are decimating our children's educations by quarantining them every other week because one kid in the class tests positive, no symptoms. The entire class has to now be quarantined for 2 weeks. So those kids go home, they fall behind, then they come back for a week and somebody else tests positive and they have to go home. Here's my other question to you, Mayor Pike. Do you understand that a child is 66,000 times more likely to be trafficked than to die from COVID? And your mask that you are forcing them to wear makes it that much easier for traffickers to take those children. You have declared open season on our children. And that is where I take major issue. Wear your mask if you want to, but do not force my children to wear a mask.
Yeah!
I just want to say thank you for your time. I do appreciate you being here and hearing us out.
You bet.
We've started to notice in the media there's a lot of other states that are actually starting to take ownership of the role of mayor, and they're starting to actually defy certain mandates and call them orders, call them suggestions or requirements or whatever, but they're not laws. So as these mayors are stepping forward in South Carolina, in quite a few other states in Michigan, and even in California, in Orange County, at what point, as things get worse, and we know they're going to get worse, it's not getting any easier. Look at how the year has played out. At what point can we have confidence that you will step up and defy those above you? Is there a point where you would say, no, that's where I draw the line as a citizen or as a dad or as a husband? At what point would you be willing to, seeing California do its thing, is there a point where you would be willing to step in and say, enough is enough?
What I would do, and what I've already done from time to time, is have conversations with legislators as well as the governor or lieutenant governor, and try to influence those decisions. And I believe that has happened, and I believe that will continue to work better than just going from to full support to 100% defiance. I would rather work with our legislators and our governor as needed. And as things get worse, if they do get worse, I hope they don't. I hope that we're able to control this as best we can, and that, like you say, hopefully in the spring, when I think we can have mass people be able to be vaccinated who choose to, I will fully support that. And hope that helps us get at least herd immunity for the season. I don't know how long it'll last. Those are the kinds of things that I'll be supporting, and I'd rather see it done voluntarily as much as possible. And I'll lobby for that, and I have.
You'd rather, but is there a time when you would allow it to be mandatory?
Again, I'm not going to go into hypotheticals at this point.
That's what I thought.
Have you spoken to our county sheriff?
We're gonna wrap this up soon, so let's finish up here. He's next. And let's be brief, please.
Thank you, Ro. Mr. Mayor, have you done any of your own independent research on this matter regarding COVID, effectiveness of masks, what happens when large amounts of people wear masks when they haven't worn them, what has happened to the COVID numbers? Have you looked at the numbers of deaths, cause of death amongst people throughout the year compared to COVID previous years to warrant the lockdowns, mask mandates over the years, how people have not worn masks, they've gotten other things, which in many cases, you read the data, much more lethal than this. Have you done your own research?
Yes.
And what have you discovered from that research? Did you answer all those things I just mentioned?
What I'll say is that after doing my research, I support all the precautions that I've talked about.
That's all you need to know, everybody.
That's right.
That's a joke. We know, you can look online yourself. Almost every single time that they've forced a mask mandate, what has happened, everybody? It's gone way up. Not to mention most of these tests are completely, they're so faulty in so many ways. The guy who invented the PCR test, if you did your research, said it is not valid for detecting a virus. So that calls into question whether you did your own research on this.
Yes, I did, and again, I'll take you back to my earlier comments. What I'm focused on is the health and well-being of our community, and right now, will you let me finish? Thank you. So what I'm worried about is right now the number of people that are in the hospital.
Right. Have you gone to the hospital to see this yourself?
I have.
Okay, what have you seen? You see the COVID ward?
Yes.
Okay, what did it look like?
Full.
Okay.
What
Yeah,
kind of
I'm sure you did.
And the ones that are there are from other places and other
No,
states?
they're not from other places and other
My
states.
mom works there.
Well, I work there too. And so the issue is very few. We used to get more from the Page area, from one of the Native American reservations. We don't anymore. So there are some that will come from other areas, but very few. Most of these people come from Washington County or Iron County, and even Iron County is keeping more of their COVID patients as well as their general medical patients.
All right, just last question. It's a general thing, like I mentioned in the past, there's been many of the things that we've known about that have affected people health-wise, possibly leading to fatalities. We haven't worn masks. So what is your opinion on that, why we're wearing them now?
I didn't understand. You say it again?
People haven't worn masks in the past for things that are much more lethal. So why would you think this is the answer now?
What I've observed in, again, some of the research you're talking about is some of the countries that have worn masks in the past for other types of viruses, it's been quite effective.
What
It's been
about
proven
Sweden?
effective. So,
That's not true, man. Come on.
Hey,
Even
it is-
states
it
in
is-
this country.
It is the
What
research.
about Sweden?
Yeah, exactly.
I think
All
you
right.
can probably find research on any point you want to make, and it may be true. There are cases that, in this case you found this, but you don't know. You can't always compare apples to
You got to
apples.
consider the source, though, Mayor.
I
Consider
agree.
the source.
I absolutely agree with you.
How many more questions are there? You need to come up here, please. We're gonna have what? 2 more? 3? You?
I think he had a question. I'm not sure.
4? Okay, so let's be brief. After this, we're gonna go to Pork Bellies. Is that the name of the restaurant?
Yes.
Everybody's invited to go and pay your own bill. So, yeah, you're welcome to come. We want to support this restaurant. They had suffered a lot under these mandates.
They're slaving away.
Yeah,
Slaving away to make ends meet right now.
they're
no
trying
profit.
to make ends meet because of all this baloney. Let me tell you. So
Sorry.
we want to go and support that restaurant. All of you, if you want to come, join us, please.
It's on Glut Street. It's called Fort Belly's Eatery.
Just a quick question. Have you heard of the Great Barrington Report?
I forget the address. Yeah, it's by the movie theater.
It's not ringing a bell.
Then you haven't done your research because it's all over the internet. The Great Barrington Report, you need to look it up and you need to read it. I can provide you a copy of it. Over 35,000 healthcare professionals and over 16,000 scientists and virologists have signed on to it against these mandates, against these measures that have been taken, saying they are not just ineffective, they are damaging. Look it up.
Yeah, I've seen things like that. I'm not sure if it's that precise study, but I've seen things like that. I am choosing to listen to the providers in our community and in our state. Yes, I do have Harvard and Stanford and other providers, trained providers here.
He was the lead.
I understand. I have some of those too. So you can always pick experts and they'll disagree with each other. And I understand that. I appreciate it, but I'm listening to the experts that I know and in the state of Utah that I know as well.
Hey, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I just was wondering if you've spoken with our county sheriff, Corey Pulsifer.
Not for a while.
It would be nice to know how he stands on all of this. He's been crickets. He's been silent.
I can't comment on that, but you should talk to the sheriff's office.
We need to know where he stands, and maybe we all need to call him and find out where he stands and if he's going to enforce these mandates. And because he claims he's a constitutional sheriff, yet we haven't heard anything from him.
Yeah, please contact him.
I will. Thank you.
Contact the sheriff's office.
I can answer that question because I had a conversation with Corey Pulsifer, actually with the deputy in charge. The sheriff did talk to me, or did ask this man to call me. He was, I forget the title. He's a deputy sheriff in charge. And he said he would not enforce mask mandates. So if you're walking out on the street and you're not wearing a mask, they're not going to arrest you. They're not going to fine you, nothing. But if you go to a business, and he said this, and they trespass you because you're not wearing a mask, he will arrest you and trespass you if need be. So just so you know, that this is how, the roundabout way that these people enforce their mandates is in a roundabout way. And now all these businesses have taken, all the ones that have taken federal dollars have taken our money, our tax dollars. So they're not private anymore. They're public. They have to serve us. They cannot pertain us from participating in this society and keep us from shopping. I've been threatened with the police 3 times in 3 stores because I will not cover the likeness of the image of God. I will not do that. It's a violation of my conscience. And my rights. Absolutely.
Not without a fight.
Now they threaten me with the police, and I say, call them. I'm going to wait right here. No, wait outside. Absolutely not. I'll wait in here. You've taken payroll protection program money? Really? Nah.
Well, I'm facing charges for that.
Yeah. This man is facing charges. He's going to be prosecuted at the county court.
Yep.
Are we going to stand up for him too?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to go with him.
You can go to right now that won't, to some level or another, harass you about a mask.
Everybody harasses me about a mask all the time.
Where's
All right.
the freedom in that? Where's the God-given agency in that? You can tell me to shut up about that too?
I'm just going to say that again.
Don't tell me you feel for me because you don't. You're taking a paycheck and I can't feed my kids.
No, his mic's off. You've got to turn it on.
I would just say do the best you can with the people that are in our
Well, you
community.
know what the best they can is we're going to get you out of office. That's
And
what we're
that
going
is
to do. Yeah,
absolutely
that's the
your
best we
prerogative.
can do.
That's what
If I have
elections
to
are
run
for.
my own damn self, I'll...
Next question, please.
I welcome you to
Next
the
question. Let's wrap it up. I think we've said a lot here.
I'm currently a student trying to rebuild my life after getting out of here.
Right now.
I can't go to
Well, it actually just started 2 months ago. I went to the hospital because I thought I had a hernia. Actually, it turned out, although the hospital, the emergency room did not identify it, since I was having trouble smelling things, they did a COVID test on me. I went to my doctor 2 weeks later. That's how soon I could get in to see him. And it was actually all my ribs were dislocated from the middle of my chest down. But they didn't find it when they did the CAT scan. But they said one of my lungs looked cloudy. So they wrote me down as COVID, what was the word, Ray? Possible COVID. So last week, Intermountain Healthcare called me, wanted me to have another CAT scan because I was possible COVID. So, although I don't have COVID and I did not have COVID, I'm now a statistic of COVID at the hospital, at Intermountain Healthcare. So I'm sure they collected money for that. So they wanted me to have another CAT scan, so I called them back and told them, no, I'm not coming. I don't have COVID. Although I do have lung problems, and my doctor has told me not to wear a mask so I can breathe and so I don't breathe my own breath. So why does anyone else have to wear one? My doctor told me not to.
And why were you included in the stats?
So I could be spreading my non-existent COVID to everyone right now, according to the medical profession, except my doctor, who thinks it's ridiculous. So what do you think of that?
Again, that's between you and your doctor. And
Well,
I
I
think
mean that they said I had COVID when I didn't.
I can't speak to that. You'd have to talk to the doctor or the other folks at the hospital.
You have a question, sir? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Mayor. I put on a business card links to some of my research online. My question to you is, will you do three things? View these links and these videos, consider the information that they provide, and report back to this organization so they can communicate with us what you think of it.
You know, probably not. I'll look at it, but I'm honestly not going to report back. I just won't have time. I'll do the best I can to look at everything I can.
One more question and we're done.
How will we know that you've done it?
You won't.
There's
I'm going to do the best I can, but yeah.
Okay, sir, I lied. This is my last time, honestly. I would like to know if you read Kristi Noem's article that she wrote in the opinion paper. And do you know that Kristi Noem had no shutdowns, no mask mandates. They've received zero funding from the federal government. They have the lowest unemployment in the nation, and they just closed out with a $19 million surplus because they refused to say who is essential and who isn't. Because, you know, I go and get my toes done and I get my nails done. That's not essential. But the guy that does my toes and does my nails, it's essential to him.
Yeah, that's right. Every job is essential to somebody.
So every job is essential. And this is what I propose, is that you look into the way that Kristi Noem is running her government, and she is the best governor in the United States. Okay? And she knows the oath that she took is not to tell anybody how to run their private lives. And sir, I would ask you to reconsider what you're doing. Like I said, I'm not your constituent, but I am John Brammel's constituent, and he hears from me a lot. In fact, I'm running for city council in Hurricane because I want to make sure that the people understand what the Constitution is and what it means. It is not up to individuals' opinions. But like I said, I moved here because I thought that Utah was the safest place in the United States. I thought this kind of garbage would never happen. And I hope that you'll reconsider because, you know, if you do a good job, I'm sure if you swing back right as a real conservative Republican, I'm sure these people would be glad to have you in office and to keep you in office. But when you don't and you're collecting a paycheck and you are telling people that what they can or cannot do, and you keep hiding behind, I believe that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I believe. Well, you're not, sir. And I wish you the best, and I hope to God that you will pray and you will ask the God of heaven for wisdom to do what you're supposed to do, because right now you are not, sir, and someday you will stand accountable to him.
Thank you. I would just love to tell you that I do. I pray every day, every night for this community, and I do pray for wisdom and the best I can to lead and to provide the everything I can, my all for. And again, I'm a part-time mayor,
Which God are you praying
but I
to?
work full-time hours because I really do want to help in every way I can, and I do believe that I'm doing what I've been asked to do by him as well as by the Constitution. Thank you.
Before we thank John Pike for coming out here and being brave, we'll give him that. I want to say that I resent that he has asked me and you to shut up. I resent that, but we'll give him, you know, a round of applause for coming out and answering questions and taking the time. Thank you, John. And let's go to Pork Bellies and have a good day.